The next topic I had was this Fauci. I don't know if you covered this or not. The new Fauci stuff.
We got to be careful how we phrase things if
Yeah.
we're going to cover this.
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah. Well, you know kind of the rules. I mean, essentially, Fauci has allegedly admitted that closing schools for months during the lockdowns was a, quote, mistake.
No, really?
Yeah. Well, all these things are going to come out now, now that he's in the clear.
I remember that when that first happened, I think you covered it as well. I know that I did, and a handful of others, but a lot of people weren't covering it at the time. What kind of psychological damage was going to be done?
Yeah.
To the next generation because of you closed the play yard, you closed the skate park, you closed the regular park, you closed the school and everything else. So little Jimmy and little Sally have to just sit on the couch, and they go to school and then they just sit there eating potato chips.
Well,
that's not great for a person's health.
It's not. And, also we raised a generation that was told that there's this ever-present invisible thing just lurking out that was going to take their life the first second they could.
Yeah.
Like at any moment it was going to take their life, and then it was going to take grandma's life, and it was going to take and then growing up like that is why these people are like still driving alone in their cars with masks on. Like there's no.
Yeah,
they're going to be forever
when
damaged.
I'm in Rutland. I never see that here, by the way. People pretty much ignored the rules, but I still see it in the United States when I'm there, and I'm like, the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
I still remember that one very surreal moment during, the mask thing, where I saw a chick. She had a mask on, but she had it pulled down so she could smoke a cigarette.
Yeah. America.
That's great.
Yeah. So his latest quote says, quote, this is not me saying this. This is Dr. the Science, Anthony Fauci. Quote, I think what was not a mistake was the actual closure, because when we had a shutdown, that 15 days to flatten the curve, we were in a tsunami of cases. Right here in New York, you had freezer trucks in front of Elmhurst Hospital. That was one of the biggest lies, in my opinion, that they perpetrated. This idea that there were bodies getting stacked up like cordwood in every hospital. Like that just never happened.
It's like bring out your dead. Like they have the plague carts going around the streets every morning.
Yeah, they sent, remember when they made a big show about sending that military hospital ship to New York, and like they never used it. They had like 2 or 3 people, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. They had like 2 or 3 people that ever like were served on it. I'm not saying people didn't die. A lot of people did.
Do you remember when they had cruise ships that were not allowed to port, and people were effectively held hostage to get sick?
Yeah, for months, and they all got sick anyway. Like you had to, yeah, they had that, and then they had you couldn't port. You had early on they were putting everybody on ventilators, and that was killing them.
And they were staggering seats on flights.
Yep, there's
well.
Yeah.
I can remember when I came back to the United States during that period, that February. I was in the K-class lounge, which, by the way, the tickets were dirt cheap at the time because nobody was really flying because
everyone was afraid. Yeah,
actually, that was great. It cost half as much.
I flew during that time. The airports were completely empty.
Oh, it was the best air travel I've ever had. Actually,
yeah.
Give me another pandemic, please. But there were like maybe 4 other people in the entire cabin. That normally seats like, it's
100, 200.
7 by 6. No, well, I was sitting in K class, but still, I mean, normally it would fit 50, 60 people. There were like 5 of us aboard there, and people were ignoring the restrictions, by the way, and the stewards aren't paid enough to care. So,
well, they are in America.
I just sat there and drank myself into a stupor, basically.
Well, they in America, they definitely cared. When I traveled, like, they were on me like white on rice and a paper plate in a snowstorm. Like they would be mad. Like I remember several times flying during that era, getting literally screamed at by stewards because they were like watching, like I'd be like, oh, they want you like, do you want some nuts or candy? Okay, sure. They want you to lift up your mask, put it in, and then pull it right down right away. So like they were watching you. They were watching. I mean, like not everyone was like that, but because I travel for work, like I definitely came across several,
Yeah.
basically Karens, people that have never had any real power in their life.
What air company did you use? I generally
United
fly
usually,
Delta.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I
usually.
generally use Delta because they've got the KLM attachment for the Netherlands, and it was the most chill flight I've ever been on. I mean, there's literally nobody in front or behind me. Nobody cares whether my mask is on, and I just sat there the entire time and chilled.
Yeah, that was wild. So now he goes on and he says, initially to close it down was correct. He said, I don't actually believe that. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know what the data actually suggests, so I can't refute that.
I supported the original 2 weeks simply because it kept the public from panicking. Did it do anything? No.
I don't think it did.
Did it
Yeah.
look like it was doing something and therefore calm people down in a time where people were ready to boil over? Yeah. It was sort of like the ban on travel by Chinese nationals into the United States. I talked about it at the time. I said, fundamentally, the idea is it's not going to do anything whatsoever. It's not going to have any impact on infection rates, but it has to be done anyway because it'll appear to the public that something is being done in a situation where the authorities simply are out of their league and can't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, you had that just as an example, but also, you're right. A lot of it was theater, but important theater. Giving people $700 a week in free money helped keep people calm. And really, I strongly believe that the BLM uprising was as bad as it was because of COVID and because of lockdowns. Yeah. I can't prove that. It's just my opinion, but
it's pretty obvious though.
Yeah, I mean, you keep people cooped up, and not only that, but afraid. I don't know if you remember this, but I'm sure you do. I had a puppy at the time, so I wake up in the morning and just put on like the local news just so there's something on, and they would have like a live death counter, like, and was like, what in the hell are you guys doing?
It disappeared the second that Biden took office, by the way.
It sure did, real fast. But then, like, I remember just kind of talking to my wife, and I was like, it occurred to me that there's some little old ladies who are like stricken by fear watching that thing go up and be like, oh, I wonder if that was little Betsy. And, and then they just passed that fear on. And then, people sat in the house, they got free money. The free money went away. And then Saint Floyd was anointed, sent upon high. And the billions of dollars in damage is now just history. So yeah, Anthony Fauci is going to admit
he's a very slimy individual. He's very disingenuous. You can tell when he speaks that he's usually being disingenuous.
I mean, look into his AIDS research. Yeah. Look into what he does to beagles. Like the sandflies eating beagles' faces, so they could, and they sever their vocal cords so they didn't have to hear them cry.
There are so many people that are not aware of Fauci's role in the AIDS epidemic during the 80s.
Oh yeah,
and I find that astonishing and sad. Just look up some documentary footage of it. I saw one. It was just like an hour and a half compilation of newsreels from that period of time when AIDS was really at its height, and people were terrified of it. And Fauci was in that one. There were a couple of clips of him talking.
Yeah, he bungled that like catastrophically.
Whoops, I killed like 10 million people. Let's try again and try to get 20 million.
Well, and I like how now he has the balls to come out and say, well, if you didn't get the jab, I can confidently say that you're responsible for another million deaths. Like,
great. I'm genocidal. Excellent.
Yeah. I don't know.
I am the Lord of Death.
Yeah. I don't know that you could confidently make that argument, Dr. Fauci. I feel like you're not following the science there.